Okay. We have a co-host here. Her name is Nova. Okay. There's something that we want to put into the chat here. Let's go ahead and add that. So check the chat. Let's see if we can pin this. All right. Oh yeah, it's pinned. Awesome. All right. So YouTube lets me pin stuff. Awesome. 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 All right. So www.developingsamllc.com. Okay. So check that out. If you're a creator, if you're a business, all right, in the chat, let me know who's a creator. If you're a creator, put creator in the chat. Put that in the chat right now. If you're a business, put business in the chat. Put the word business in the chat. If you're a creator, put the word creator in the chat, right? All right. So if you've been trying to be consistent and it still isn't happening,
I'm cutting. Consistency isn't a personality trait, it's a workflow. Today, 30 minutes, one idea, and you leave with a week of posts.
we're talking AI content systems without the fluff.
And without the post, 5 times a day. But nonsense. Without the post 5 times a day nonsense talking. Busy people only. If you can do 30 minutes, you can do this.
All right, let's do an episode roadmap. Let's do that. Framework to steps to example to objections to the action plan. All right.
Lock it in. You're getting a repeatable sprint plus prompts you can face.
Okay. Here's a framework. Core concept definition. All right. In one line. A content system equals a repeatable way to turn real customer questions into posts that build trust and drive action. That's what a content system is. It's a repeatable way to turn real customer questions into posts that build trust and drive action. All right.
Here's a framework. 3-track content system. Track A, authority. When you teach. Track B, proof. When you have results. Or stories. And stories. Results/stories. Alright. Track C, personality. So when you have your relatable / user. Okay? If you post only one track, usually either boring, braggy, or random. Give me the listener translation. What do they do tomorrow?
Pick one topic, create one post per track.
All right. Let's move into the next main segment. All right, the 30-minute AI content sprint. "30 minutes. No perfection. Use a sprint." Number 1. A 5-minute idea poll. Grab top 5 FAQs. Grab the top 5 FAQs. All right. Get the client DMs. Grab those. Grab the comments. Get the reviews. Get the rejections. Right? Number 2. For 10 minutes, do an outline 3 posts. Have your A, B, and C tracks. Each gets hooks to 3 bullets through to the call to action. Number 3. Do a 10-minute generate captions and variants. Make it short, medium, make a spicy version. And then 4. 5-minute schedule and track. Put it into your scheduler and note a simple measure. If you do only step 1 and 2, you still win. In 4 minutes, we'll turn 1 FAQ into 7 posts with a copy and paste prompt. Alright, let's move into the next segment. Alright, book engineering that stays in. Books aren't hype. Books are clarity and states. Okay? There's a formula. Copy and paste these. Okay? Let's see if the chat will let me copy and paste this. But we're on YouTube today. Okay, so let's see if YouTube will let this happen. Let's do it. Okay, alright. Let's see if I can pin this. Wait, pin it. Okay, so you can only pin the unmessage. Okay, alright, so we can't pin that one, but the other message is pinned too. Alright, so cosmos. Alright, so alright. So let's read off this hook formula. And check the chat. The chat's gonna have the hook formula. Alright, but let's read them off. Okay, so if you're doing whatever common behavior, insert that here. Stop. Do whatever better behavior instead. Alright, here's an example. If you're doing doom scrolling, stop. Do micro learning instead. Okay? There's another hook. The 2-minute fix for back pain. Or whatever pain you have. Insert your pain here. Okay? Nobody tells you this about back pain. Or chiropractics. Alright, whatever topic you have. Then you don't need more content. You need a better system. Alright, so insert your content. Insert whatever system you have. Alright. And then you have, alright, All right, house. Give me 2 examples right now.
All right, let's do 3 niche three niche variations. All right, we're gonna have 3 examples. Okay, so for coach, if you're a coach, all right, if a coach is your niche, all right, if you're posting motivation quotes and wondering why nobody books, stop. Do this instead. All right, that's you as a coach. That's what you say as a coach. That's your niche. All right, if coach is your niche, you say something like, if you're posting motivation quotes and wondering why nobody books, stop. Do this instead. All right. Here's another example. If you're a local business, all right. So if you're a local business, if your before and after posts aren't converting, here's the 2-minute fix. All right. Another example. E-commerce. If your product posts feel like ads, nobody tells you this about conversion content. All right? Sounds good.
All right. Let's move on to the next thing. All right. So let's give a real example. Let's do one FAQ to a week of posts. All right. Let's do the repurpose math. Okay. One FAQ becomes 7 outputs. A frequently asked question example template. All right. Here's, and I'm gonna put this into chat. All right. So you can like visually see this. All right. So let's do that. I'll put this in the chat so you guys can see this. Right? Well, video count. There's some kind of limitation here on YouTube. Alright. I think I can only put a certain amount of times in the chat. Alright. So, there's part of it. And let's do this. Alright. So, the template. Alright. How do I know if, and let's put an example here. Alex's funneling. Alright. And what's that funneling they have these days? Alright, ClickFunnels. Alright, so how do I know if Alex's ClickFunnels is right for me? That's an example. Alright. You want to turn that into 7 outputs from that one FAQ, from that one frequently asked question, which is, how do I know if Alex's ClickFunnel is right for me? Alright. So, the first of those 7 outputs. Alright. Your myth bus. You have it to where you're doing a myth about ClickFunnels. That you put in your track A. Track A is your authority. So you're teaching here. Alright? So you're the authority figure here. Alright. So you're myth busting something about ClickFunnels. Hey, I bet you didn't know this about ClickFunnels. Or here's a common myth about ClickFunnels. And then here's the reality of it. You could throw that in there. Alright, you're teaching. Okay. And then number 2. 3 signs you need it. Alright. So you're doing the track A again. So you're authority. And you're teaching. 3 signs you need it. You need ClickFunnels because they convert sales, something like that. All right. Then your third output, the client story. All right. So this is your track B stuff. Your track B stuff, it has your proof. So your proof has your proof in it, which is receipts, documents, comments, your story. Okay. So your actual client story goes in there. Well, Fred used Alex's ClickFunnels and he made such and such amount of money.
Right. So I'm going to do the fourth output here. Let's start at the fourth output. The behind the scenes. Okay. This is where you have your personality. All right. This is where you're relatable. This is your track C. Okay. So your behind the scenes stuff. Yes, I made $7 million with Alex's ClickFunnel, and I'm sitting on the yacht right now. All right. I'm chilling with friends because of Alex's ClickFunnels, or it's behind the scenes. I'm in the studio with Alex. He's showing me how to do the ClickFunnels. All right. This is your track C stuff. This is your personality. I have a house because of Alex's ClickFunnels. Okay. All right. Then 5, your fifth output, mistakes to avoid. You want to put in your authority here. So you're teaching again. All right. So this is what I wish I knew before I start doing ClickFunnels. Okay. All right. So your sixth output, you have your comparison post. You got your track A and your track B in here. So your track A is your authority. Your track B is your proof. Okay. So comparison post. You have, I wish I knew this before I started. And then you have, this is what you get when you do things the right way, which is your proof. Okay. So you have your track A, your track B. All right. Your seventh output, your soft call to action. All right. And you put your checklist in here. So you have your track B. Your track B stuff is your proof. So you have a DM Alex and be sure to get Alex's template, Alex's blueprint, and you list all of the things in your checklist, everything that you want someone to get. You put this in your checklist, okay? It's your proof, your story. All right, so you can put in your soft call to action and your checklist. All right, everything that you want to show, all of the proof, your story, and put in your proof, receipts, DMs, comments. Everybody's using this stuff. All right, reviews. All right, so let's do this. Let's do some quick niche examples. All right, so if you're a coach, your FAQ would be, how do I pick a niche? Here's your answer. And this is what we just went through. All right. So we just went through the 7 posts above, which would be your myth bust, your 3 signs you need it, your client story, your behind the scenes, your mistakes to avoid, comparison posts, and your soft call to action, and your checklist in there. All right. That is what you do to find your niche. That's your niche right there. All right. So now you know, as a coach, what to do to pick your niche. All right. Here's another niche example, a local business. All right. In the FAQ, in the frequently asked question, you'd have, how often should I service or repair, we'll say refrigerators. All right. And then that would be your FAQ. All right. So your e-commerce, your frequently asked question. Which version or size should I buy? That's your frequently asked question. All right. So you'd answer that. Your e-commerce answers about which version. Your e-commerce answers about which size. All right. Whatever size the shop that should be bought. You're answering that. All right. So you could use those 7 outputs again. You myth about e-commerce. You do your track A. You do your 3 signs you need the e-commerce. You do your 3 signs you need the local business. You do the behind the scenes of the local business. You do the behind the scenes of the coaching. You do the mistakes to avoid when coaching. You do the comparison posts about the e-commerce stuff. And then you do the soft call to action plus your checklist for your coaching. All right. Those are examples. Okay.
Let's move on to the algorithm set. AI will replace your force. All right. That's a myth. It's a reality. AI amplifies whatever you feed it. KS and KSL. Leave this instead. 3 steps. Step 1. Feed it real inputs. Alright? FAQs. Your frequently asked questions. Your DMs. Your reviews. Alright? Step 2. Force and structure. Your hook to your bullets to your call to action. Step 3. Add a human layer. Your opinion, your story, your boundary, your vibe slot. Alright? Let's see if I still have restrictions on what I can post here. Let's see. I may be able to post this. Alright. Awesome. I was able to post that. The other one was a little too long. Alright. Okay, so I'll maybe post that. Let's move on to... Alright, so I'm gonna read this freelance script here. Alright, so most people think, and we're gonna fill in the blanks later, but most people think whatever myths But the truth is, whatever reality, here's what to do. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. If you only do one thing today, and put your viable action in that. Alright. So, let's fill in the blanks. Most people think that ClickFunnels are a scam. But the truth is, ClickFunnels, they're actually real. Here's what to do. Lead ads hits ClickFunnels. Then step 2. Contact outlets. Step 3. Get the blueprint to Alex's ClickFunnels. Alright? If you only do one thing today, contact Alex immediately. Alright? That would be your viable action. Okay? Now, let's move on.
All right. We'll do the rapid. Let's do a Q&A. All right. Let's do a rapid fire Q&A. All right. People have objections, right? They have objections to starting off, right? Starting off as a creator, right? Or an influencer in general, okay? Here's a few objections, why you wouldn't start as an influencer, all right? Putting your content out there. Okay, so I only have 30 minutes a week. I hate being on camera. My niche is boring. AI makes me sound generic. I posted and nothing happened. I don't know what to post. Okay, those are some objections.
Alright, here's a few answers. Some tight answers, alright? So, no camera. Use text post. Voice over Miro. And screen recordings. Okay? Do you have a boring niche? Your audience is desperate for clarity, not entertainment. Generic energy rules. What you believe, what you refuse to do, your hot take.
All right, so let's move on to an action plan. All right, here's 3 steps. Step 1, list 10 FAQs from the DMs, FAQs from your calls, FAQs from your comments, right? Step 2, choose one FAQ, one frequently asked question. Generate 3 track posts. Now, step 3, schedule 3 posts plus track 1 metric. Track the saves, track the DMs, or track the clicks. Okay? All right. Here's a minimum viable version of that. Do 1 post today. Do 1 post today. Have your hook, have your 3 bullets, and have your call to action. That's it. All right, let's do a recap.
You don't need more ideas. You need a loop. Subscribe, download the template, and next episode we'll cover how to turn comments into DM convos without being weird.